Anna woke up from the soft morning light that was breaking through the translucent curtains. The room was cozy and warm, it smelled of something delicious. The smell of toast and freshly brewed tea came from the kitchen. She stretched, straightening her shoulders, and closed her eyes, enjoying this moment. "Good morning, Anya." Her husband's voice rang out. Oleg sat down on the edge of the bed and carefully removed a strand of hair from her face. "Get up, breakfast is ready." Mom said that today she would not let us leave the table of the ethereal family breakfast. Anna smiled. Oleg had always been caring, gentle, and even a year after the wedding he did not cease to amaze her with his attention. He leaned over and lightly kissed her forehead. "Just a couple of minutes," she whispered, still enjoying the comfort of the bed. "Just don't be late," Oleg gently scolded. "You know Mom. She waits patiently, but she doesn't like to wait for long." Anna got up, made her bed, quickly washed up and headed to the kitchen. Oleg was already sitting at the table, and opposite him, Galina Viktorovna, his mother, was smiling as she put pancakes on his plate. Her mother-in-law was a strict but fair woman. And despite Anna's fears, which she had once inspired in her friend, Galina Viktorovna accepted her as her own daughter. "Good morning, Mom," Anna said, sitting down at the table. "Good morning, dear," Galina Viktorovna answered and moved a plate of pancakes towards her. "Hold on to something hot. Sour cream or jam?" Quote. "Sour cream, thank you," Anna smiled, feeling warmth spreading inside. Everything was different in this family than in her childhood. It was calm here. Here they took care of each other, laughed at breakfast, discussed plans for the day. There was no screaming, no drinking, no empty refrigerator. She was loved here. Anna closed her eyes for a moment, and memories of the past came to her. A small, skinny girl sitting in the corner of the kitchen, clutching a dry piece of bread. Her mother, staggering, searching through the drawers for a bottle, muttering something under her breath. It was cold in the house, a draft coming from the window, and the floor was dirty under her feet. Anna had dreamed of something else then. Of a warm house, where her mother would stroke her head and tell her that everything would be fine. But her mother had never said that. Somewhere deep inside her soul, that little frightened girl still lived. Anna remembered how her grandmother, the only person who truly loved her, tried to warm her, feed her until she was full, braid her thin pigtails. Her grandmother died when Anna was 6. And then the real hell began. Her mother's constant drunkenness, poverty, cold, school, where classmates laughed at her because her clothes were always torn and smelled of dampness. One day, the teacher brought social services to their home. Mom was sleeping drunk on the floor. There was no firewood. The house was cold, and in the corner there was a bowl of dirty water with some rags splashing in it. Then they took her away. Anna remembered that day down to the smallest detail. She was sitting in the car, hugging an old doll without an arm to her chest. She did not cry. She already understood then that her mother would not come for her, that no one would fight for her. First the hospital, then the orphanage. That's how her new life began. Anna woke up from her memories when Oleg put his hand on her hand. "Is everything okay?" he asked quietly, looking into her eyes. "Yes, everything is fine." She smiled weakly, just thoughtful. Galina Viktorovna looked at her with slight concern, but said nothing. She already knew. Sometimes Anna would get lost in her thoughts, remembering her childhood. Her mother-in-law didn't pester her with questions, but tried her best to surround her daughter-in-law with warmth. "You're free today, aren't you?" Galina Viktorovna asked to change the subject. "Maybe we should go to the store together? We need to make preserves for the winter. And I need to look for something for you too." Quote. Anna smiled. It was so simple. Just go to the store with her husband's mother, talk, discuss everyday trifles. The routine she had dreamed of as a child. "Sure, let's go. It wouldn't hurt me to look for something too." Oleg watched them with a satisfied smile. "You discussed everything without me, as always." He took a cup of tea and shook his head. It's good that you warned me. Anna laughed quietly. At that moment, she felt happy. For the first time in her life, she had a family, a home, warmth. For the first time, she could not be afraid of tomorrow. She did not know that a new trial awaited her. But for now, she simply enjoyed this morning, so simple, so warm, so familiar. When Anna first came to the orphanage, she was 8. She was holding a small cloth bag in her hands. In it lay all her belongings, 2 t-shirts, an old sweater and a shabby doll. The girl did not cry, but inside everything was clenched with fear. Where had they brought her? What will happen now? Will they beat her here, like her mother sometimes did? Or will she have to sleep in the cold and go hungry again? Don't be afraid, it's not so scary here, a voice suddenly rang out. Anna raised her head and saw a girl a little older than herself. Skinny, with big brown eyes and freckles on her nose. She was sitting on the top bunk and swinging her legs. Quote, "I'm Marina. What's your name?" "And, Anya," she answered barely audibly. "Well, that's how we met," the girl smiled. "If anything, I'll show you everything." Marina became her first and only friend. With her, Anna felt a little calmer, but the fear of the future did not go away. Especially at night, when the other children quietly sobbed in their beds, and the teachers pretended not to hear. But time passed. Anna got used to the routine, to school, to simple joys, rare trips to the cinema, holidays when you could eat candy without restrictions. She got used to the fact that no one would come for her, that no one would ask the teachers, "So, how is my girl?" Marina was always there. They would whisper together under the covers before going to bed, discussing what they would become when they grew up. Anna dreamed of working as a cook. For some reason, food always seemed important to her, something that gave comfort and warmth. She remembered how her grandmother baked pies for her, how fresh porridge smelled, how they sat at the table and talked. She was happy then. After the 9th grade, she and Marina entered culinary college. They were assigned to different groups, but they still stuck together, supported each other. Anna studied diligently, greedily absorbing knowledge. She never allowed herself to be lazy, because she understood that if she did not take the chance that life gave her, then she might not have it a second time. The first steps in the profession were not easy. Internship in cheap cafes, long shifts, fatigue, the smell of fried oil that ate into clothes. But Anna did not complain. She studied, listened to the chefs, absorbed every comment. One day, she was offered a place in a small but prestigious restaurant. It was like a miracle. An ordinary girl from an orphanage was taken to an establishment that appreciated culinary skills. It was there that she met Oleg. He was a regular guest, tall, self-confident, with a slight smile on his face. According to rumors, he had his own business, but no one knew the details. Anna did not pay attention to him until one day the administrator asked her to go out into the hall. "The guest wants to thank the chef personally," she said. Anna straightened her uniform, took a deep breath and went out. That same Oleg was sitting at one of the tables. He raised a warm gaze to her and smiled. "So, you cooked it?" he asked. "Yes." Anna nodded sheepishly. "Something wrong?" "Just the opposite. This is the first time in my life I've eaten something so delicious. You are simply a sorceress." She felt her cheeks begin to burn. "Thank you. I just try to do my job well. Has anyone ever told you that you have amazing talent?" Anna didn't know what to answer. She never considered herself special, she just did what she loved. From that day on, Oleg began to appear at the restaurant more and more often. Sometimes he would just eat and leave, sometimes he would try to talk to her. He wasn't intrusive, but his persistence was felt. Anna couldn't understand why a successful man would be interested in someone like her. She had no glamour, no sophistication, no experience in relationships. One day, she ran into him by chance in a supermarket, where she was choosing groceries. Quote, And I already thought that I would only meet you at a restaurant, he said cheerfully, looking at her. It would be too limited a circle of communication, she joked in response and for the first time saw how his smile became wider. What if we expanded a little? Let me treat you to coffee. Anna was confused. She did not know how to behave. No one had ever asked her out on a date in her life. I don't know, she muttered. Anna, it's just coffee, Oleg said softly. No obligations, just a conversation. She agreed. This is how their meetings began. At first, neutral, friendly. Oleg turned out to be an interesting conversationalist with a good sense of humor. He never pressured or rushed her, he was just there, invited her to go for a walk, told her about himself. Gradually, Anna began to get used to him, to his attention, to the way he looked at her. She did not understand what exactly he saw in her, but with each passing day it became more and more difficult for her to hide her sympathy. When Oleg proposed, Anna did not immediately believe that what was happening was real. They were walking along the embankment, holding hands. The wind gently ruffled her hair, and the evening sun painted the sky in gentle shades of pink. Oleg stopped, took her hands in his and looked straight into her eyes. Anya, his voice was calm, but there was firmness in it. You have become the most precious person to me. I don't even know how I lived without you before. Let's not be apart anymore. Marry me. Anna froze in confusion. She loved him, of course, but did such things happen to people who had only an orphan childhood and endless fears behind them? Can people like her become someone's wife? Her doubts were probably written on her face, because Oleg squeezed her hands tighter. If you're afraid, I'll wait. But I know one thing, I feel really good with you. Good, she whispered, quote. I agree. Oleg smiled and, without thinking, pulled her towards him. He hugged her tightly, as if he was afraid that she would change her mind. They decided not to have a wedding right away, but Anna moved in together almost immediately. True, not to a separate apartment, but to the spacious house of her mother-in-law Galina Viktorovna. Oleg explained it simply. Mom's apartment is big, she gets bored there alone. And you know how much she loves you. Anna nodded, but something sank inside. Was she, who grew up without a family, now going to live under the same roof with her mother-in-law? How is it possible to live not only with a loved one, but also with his mother? Galina Viktorovna really accepted her with warmth. In the kitchen, she willingly shared family recipes, had long conversations over tea, told about Oleg in childhood. Anna laughed with her, but still felt some constraint. After all, this was not her home. At first, everyday trifles seemed insignificant. Someone forgot to close the lid on a tube of toothpaste, someone put a plate in the wrong place. Anna tried not to dwell on it, but she had to get used to rules she had never known before. In the family where she grew up, no one discussed how to fold laundry or which side of the refrigerator milk should be on. Quote. Anjut, my dear, let's come to an agreement, Galina Viktorovna said one day when they were having dinner together. That's how it is in our family. If someone takes on dinner, then they clean up after themselves. It's convenient and no one is offended. Anna flared up. She thought it was a reproach, but quickly realized that her mother-in-law spoke calmly, without displeasure. She was just explaining, of course, I'll take it into account, she nodded. Gradually, she got used to it. Over time, she even realized that such little things are inevitable in family life. The main thing is not to let them lead to quarrels. When Anna found out that she was pregnant, her first reaction was shock. She looked at the test with 2 clear stripes and could not believe her eyes. Her heart was pounding in her chest, thousands of thoughts flashed through her head. Is this really true? I'm ready. What if I can't handle it? She put the test on the sink and slowly walked out of the bathroom. Oleg was sitting in the living room with a laptop, thoughtfully studying some papers. Hearing her steps, he raised his head and smiled. Anyut, did something happen? Yusach squinted, obviously noticing that she looked confused. Anna took a deep breath, came closer, clenched her fists, and then suddenly, completely unexpectedly for herself, burst into tears. Oleg immediately put the laptop down and jumped up. "What's wrong?" He worriedly took her by the shoulders. "Did someone hurt you?" She couldn't say a word, just sobbed and buried her face in his chest. Quote, "I'm pregnant," she finally squeezed out, sobbing. Oleg froze. And then his face lit up with joy. Quote, "Are you serious?" He took her by the shoulders, looked into her eyes. "That's for sure." Anna nodded, and then suddenly found herself in his strong arms. He picked her up, spun her around the room, laughing like a boy. "Anyutka, you can't imagine how happy I am." He hugged her. "We're going to have a baby. It's a miracle." Anna smiled, feeling her fears slowly recede. Yes, she was afraid, but Oleg was nearby, and he definitely wouldn't abandon her. Now they would have a real family. When the news reached Galina Viktorovna, she, contrary to expectations, did not start to lament or make a scene. She simply hugged Anna tightly, stroked her back and said, "Now you need to rest more, darling. Take care of yourself." From that day on, Anna's life began to change. Her mother-in-law, who had been attentive before, now literally surrounded her with care. She strictly monitored that Anna ate right, did not lift anything heavy and went to bed on time. Quote, "Anya, have you eaten yet?" Galina Viktorovna came into the room with a plate of fruit. "Yes, Mom, thank you. Are you drinking enough water? You need a lot of liquid." I'm drinking, don't worry. I read on the internet that pregnant women shouldn't be nervous, so no worries or concerns." "I understand." Anna nodded and smiled, but inside she began to feel a little strange. She understood that her mother-in-law was taking care of her, but at times it felt like control. Her every action was discussed, every habit was adjusted. The term was growing, and working in the restaurant was becoming more and more difficult. Anna was used to an active rhythm, but now, even if she just stood in the kitchen, her legs began to hum. And if she had to run back and forth, she felt that her strength was leaving faster than before. Oleg was categorical. "That's it, it's time to go on maternity leave, you're tired." Anna didn't want to admit it, but he was right. She talked to the manager, wrote a statement, and on the last day she said goodbye to restaurant with a slight sadness. Quote, "We'll be waiting for you back," the manager said. "The customers are already asking when you'll be back." "I'll be back," Anna promised, not even knowing when it would happen. Her days were different now. She rested more, read articles about pregnancy, and chose things for the future baby with Oleg. But sometimes she was overcome with anxiety. She had never seen an example of a good family. She didn't even know what it meant to be a mother. What if she couldn't do it? Anna nodded, but the anxiety still didn't go away. It was just that now that Oleg and his mother were nearby, it wasn't so scary. She didn't yet know that trials were ahead of her that she hadn't even guessed about yet. The birth began late at night. Anna woke up from a sharp pain in her stomach and immediately realized, that's it, the time has come. She sat up abruptly in bed, breathing heavily. Oleg stirred next to her. What happened? He sat up immediately, looking at her worriedly. Quote, "I think it started," she whispered, clutching her stomach. Oleg immediately jumped up, rushed to look for a phone, and nervously dialed a taxi number. Galina Viktorovna, hearing the fuss, looked out of her room. Quote, "Already?" she asked, quickly throwing on a robe. Anna only nodded, gritting her teeth from a new wave of pain. The trip to the hospital seemed like an eternity. Anna tried to concentrate on breathing, but with each contraction the fear covered her more and more. The birth turned out to be difficult. The doctors fussed around her, talking to each other every now and then, but Anna did not understand the words. Everything merged into one veil of pain, fear, expectation. It seemed to her that it would never end. Quote, "Breathe deeply, Anna, just a little longer," the doctor said, but her strength was running out. At some point, she heard a weak baby cry, and tears began to flow down her cheeks. It's all over. She gave birth. She became a mother. You have a son, the doctor said softly. Anna raised her head, trying to make out the baby. Small, wrinkled, with a red face. Her son, her Pavlisha. When he was placed on her chest, she hugged him, feeling her heart ready to jump out of her chest. Hello, my good one, she whispered, feeling how fear recedes, and in its place comes a huge all-consuming feeling of love. Anna quickly realized that motherhood is not only happiness, but also round-the-clock work. Pavlisha almost did not let her sleep, demanded attention and warmth. At night, she jumped up at every squeak. During the day she walked around, as if in a half-sleep, with red eyes and tangled hair. Are you at least sleeping? Oleg asked when he returned from work late at night. How will it work out? Anna answered, rocking the baby in her arms. Maybe mom will help? My mother-in-law really did help, but in her own way. She would come into the room, look at Anna with a long gaze, and then carefully take her grandson in her arms. Go, have a rest. Do you look, Aunt? Honestly, not very good, she said, sitting down in a chair with the child. Anna went to the bedroom, but she could not fall asleep. She lay there, listening to every sound, worrying if everything was okay, and then she got up and went back, took her son, hugging him tightly. After a couple of months, when the fatigue accumulated, Galina Viktorovna began to show dissatisfaction. Anut, you've completely forgotten about yourself, she said once at breakfast. Your hair is always disheveled, you wear old dressing gowns. Anna pursed her lips. Of course, she knew that she didn't look like a cover model, but when? When was she supposed to take care of herself if every minute was spent on her son? And your figure, of course, has changed, her mother-in-law continued. Something should be done about it. Maybe you should go to the gym or see a beautician. Anna felt a lump of resentment rising inside her. She understood that Galina Viktorovna didn't want to hurt her. But the words still resonated painfully. But Oleg's behavior began to change too. At first, Anna didn't notice how Oleg began to spend less time at home. He explained it by work, meetings, business. She believed. Why not? But then something changed. He began to stay late more and more often. When he came home, he no longer sat with her, didn't ask how her day went. He didn't even spend time with his son. So much time. Tired, Aunt, he said when she tried to question him. Work is difficult now, you know? She understood, but that didn't make it any easier. Oleg began to stay late often. Darling, I'll probably be late again, he said habitually, already pulling on his coat. Again? Anna tried not to show the disappointment in her voice. Yes, we have a project there in the final stages. Oleg avoided looking her in the eyes. This is temporary, be patient a little, okay? She nodded. Of course, she will be patient. What choice did she have? But temporary turned into weeks, then into months. So the months passed. Now Oleg not only came home late, but also began to leave often on business trips, either to a neighboring city, or for a few days to the capital. Previously, he tried to call, write, but now he could disappear for a day, and then briefly write back, he was busy. Everything is fine. Anna did not complain. She was a patient wife. Is it possible to make scandals if a person works for the sake of the family? But the anxious feeling did not go away. The first alarming news came from Marina. Anut, are you sure that Oleg is on business trips? Her friend asked cautiously when they met in the park. Anna looked at her in confusion. What is the point of this question? The girls from work just told me that they saw him in a restaurant in the company of some woman. Anna squeezed her fingers on the handles of the stroller. Maybe for work? Maybe, Marina sighed. I don't want to scare you. Just be more careful. Anna only nodded, but now that the seed of anxiety had been planted, it began to take root. Anna began to notice that her husband was behaving differently. Now he hardly looked her in the eyes, answered in monosyllables. Before, he always kissed her, hugged her, but now it was as if a wall had grown between them. She didn't want to be intrusive, but one day she finally decided to ask. Oleg, did something happen? She said quietly in the evening, when he was once again sitting with his nose buried in his phone. What do you mean? He didn't even look up. You've become somehow cold. He sighed and put the phone down. Anyut, I just have a lot of work. Honestly, I didn't mean to. Or maybe it's not about work. The words burst out of her. Oleg frowned. You don't believe me? Anna was confused. She wanted to say that she believed, but inside everything was screaming. He's hiding something. I believe you, she lied. Oleg nodded, got up and went to the bedroom. Anna remained sitting in the darkness, feeling a chill run down her spine. Months passed. The situation in the family had become so tense that it was impossible to stay at home for a long time. Pavlushka was almost 2 years old then. Anna returned home earlier than usual. Pavlushka was tired after a walk and fell asleep right in the stroller, and she decided not to rush. She wanted to be alone with her thoughts for a while, so as not to show her son her anxiety. Having climbed up floor, Anna carefully opened the door so as not to wake her son. It was dark in the hallway, but a dim light was pouring from the kitchen. She was about to go in when she heard voices. Oleg, do you understand what you're doing? Galina Viktorovna's voice sounded tense. Yes, Mom, I've thought it all over, Oleg answered. Anna froze. What were they discussing? Are you sure you want to get a divorce? Quote, the mother-in-law did not hide her surprise. Mom, I just can't be with her anymore. Look at her. Her hair is always disheveled. She's spread out like melted jelly. She smells like borscht, not perfume. They only talk about Pashka. You remember how beautiful she was. And now Anna's hands started shaking. She slowly leaned against the wall so as not to fall. And son, you know, it wasn't easy for me to raise you alone. And you also suffered without a father. Why are you ready to condemn your son to this? Galina Viktorovna's voice became harsher. He will stay with me. You know that I love Olga. I will divorce Anna and marry Olga, but she can't have children, so we will keep Pavlusha for ourselves, Oleg said calmly. Anna closed her eyes, trying to comprehend what she heard. Do you seriously think that the court will leave the child to you? The court is always on the mother's side. The mother-in-law snorted incredulously. No, won't give it up. Remember, she has nothing. No place to live, no job. And her family history is so-so. So our son will stay with us, Oleg answered sensibly. Anna couldn't listen any longer. She slammed the door loudly to let them know that she had come. Her son burst into tears. Oleg went out into the hallway, took his son and went into the room. Anna was left standing in the dark, feeling her world crumbling. She hadn't slept all night. She lay there, looking at the ceiling, listening to Pavlushka's even breathing and trying to collect her thoughts. Oleg's words were still ringing in her head. She had turned into a tired woman without a spark of life. As if all the sleepless nights, caring for her son, trying to be a good wife and mother. It meant nothing. As if she had simply been erased from life because she was tired. But the pain of resentment was quickly replaced by another feeling, rage. He wanted to take her son, deprive her of the most precious thing? No way. Anna knew if Oleg will really decide to sue for custody, she needs to prepare. In the evening Anna called Marina. Friend, your mother-in-law is right. The court usually leaves the child with the mother, but in our situation it can make a different decision. Okay, I'll think of something about work. And about housing? I have some news for you, Marina smiled mysteriously. What kind of news? Anna looked at her anxiously. You and I are both from the orphanage. I checked the database. You and I were supposed to get an apartment from the state 3 years ago. Anna was confused, but no one told me because we weren't interested. My turn came up. I went to find out, and it turned out that yours was too. You just need to submit the documents, and in a couple of months you'll get the keys. Anna suddenly felt hope spreading in her chest. Quote, Mariska, you're a genius. I just don't want this bastard to take your son away from you, her friend snorted. So now it's time to run to the authorities. Anna spent the next few days collecting documents. She went to offices, wrote applications, and received certificates. There was only one thing in her head: she had to get everything done before the trial. Anna didn't believe in fate, but what happened next could only be called a miracle. She sat in the kitchen, sorting through papers, income certificates, apartment documents, a list of necessary steps that she had to take. Her head was buzzing with fatigue, but she couldn't stop. She was fighting for her son, for herself, for her future. Her phone vibrated. She looked at the screen, an unfamiliar number. Anna, hello. A familiar voice came over the phone. It was the manager of the restaurant where she used to work. Hello. Were you just thinking about you? Really? So, you and I have a mental connection. Anu, I have an unusual offer for you. Have you thought about when you'll go back to work? I have, but while Pavlisha doesn't go to kindergarten, nothing will work out. Do you want to? Of course, but don't interrupt. Here's the deal. The owner of the restaurant is opening a private kindergarten. He's ready to enroll 2 of them there. Children of employees under the bonus program. Maybe we should try? Are you serious? Yes. We need you. The guests are still asking. When will you be back? Anna gradually returned to work. She was assigned only morning and afternoon shifts, and with her return, the number of visitors during these hours increased noticeably. Her earnings were still somewhat lower than before maternity leave, but stable and white. One day, the manager met her with a sly smile. Quote, Come out into the hall, they are asking for you again. The guests are unhappy. Anna was wary. Go and find out. Her friends were sitting at one of the tables. Marina, seeing her, even squealed with joy. Anyutka, our house has been accepted. Have they called you? Yes, they have, but a long time ago. And at that moment her phone rang. Anna listened in confusion to the woman on the other end of the line, who was listing the necessary documents and naming the date for handing over the keys. Quote, Marriage is just some kind of miracle. She was speechless. No, the situation is not wonderful at all, Marina suddenly said gloomily. She was sitting facing the entrance and noticed Oleg enter the restaurant. And not alone. He was with a striking, well-groomed woman. Did something happen? Anna felt anxious. Your husband is with another woman. Anna quickly, before Oleg noticed her, went into the hill. Anna no longer doubted. She knew what to do. The conversation overheard in the kitchen had finally put everything in its place. Oleg no longer loved her, respected her, appreciated her. He wanted a beautiful woman next to him, an ideal picture, and not the tired mother of his child. But that was not the worst thing. The worst thing was that he decided to take Pavlisha away from her. She could not allow this. That day, Anna got up earlier than usual. She made herself some tea, sat down at the kitchen table and opened her laptop. Her fingers were shaking, but she still started typing a query in the search engine: how to file for divorce and determine the place child's residence. With each article she read, the fear went away, giving way to a firm decision. She needed to file a lawsuit, collect documents, find a good lawyer. She had a stable income. She practically already had a place to live. So, her chances of winning were high. She finished her tea, took a deep breath and dialed the lawyer's number. Ivan Anatolievich, I'm ready. Tell me what documents I need. A good decision, Anna, the lawyer answered calmly. Come to me today, we'll discuss everything. Anna felt her chest getting lighter. Oleg returned home late. He was clearly in a good mood, but seeing Anna's serious face, his smile disappeared. Let's talk, Oleg. You are moving further and further away from me every day. Why? Don't you understand? No, I'm tired of you. You are boring. You have become uninteresting. All I can think about are diapers, kindergartens and other nonsense. Oleg, you are talking about our son now. So what? You yourself have turned into some kind of tortured woman and you will spoil my son for me? God forbid, he will take after his mother and become the same weakling. Oleg spoke louder and louder. The anger in his voice was growing. Anna had been waiting for this conversation for a long time, but he always put it off. Perhaps he was afraid to admit to himself that everything was over long ago. And what are you suggesting? I'll give you a month. Get yourself in order, return to normal, we'll live together. And if not, well, that's it. Anna looked at him calmly. Okay, then I'm divorcing you. Her voice was firm, without a doubt. Oleg grinned. Are you getting a divorce? Well, go to hell. But you won't get the child, don't even hope for it. Anna raised her chin and smiled coldly. You're wrong. It's you who won't get him. She turned around and left the room. Later, she quickly collected her things and the lice. There were completely a little. She called a taxi and went home, to her house. Soon Anna went to court. She was holding a package of documents in her hands, a divorce application, documents for the apartment, a certificate from work. Everything was ready. The woman at the reception window looked at her with slight sympathy. Quote, "Are you sure?" she asked, accepting the papers. Anna nodded confidently. Having signed, she felt a strange relief. She had taken the first step towards freedom. Now everything depended on the court. But she knew one thing for sure, she would not back down. She would fight for her son, for herself, for her new life. 2 months later, the almost ex-spouses were invited to a court hearing. Oleg was confident in his victory. This was evident from his behavior. A self-confident smile, a calm look, confident steps as he entered the courtroom. He did not even look in Anna's direction, he simply walked past and sat down in his seat. Anna, on the other hand, clenched her fists, trying not to show her excitement. Her heart was beating so hard that it seemed everyone around her could hear it. She looked at her lawyer, Ivan Anatolievich, and he nodded to her, as if to say, "Hold on, you are not alone." Oleg brought his lawyer, a young man with a cold look. They were clearly confident that the judge would take them aside. The court session is declared open. The judge's voice rang out and the courtroom froze. Oleg's lawyer spoke first. He spoke loudly, clearly and deliberately. Your Honor, my client is a financially secure person. He has a stable income, an apartment, and all the conditions for raising a child. At the same time, the plaintiff, Mrs. Gromova, recently got a job and does not have a sufficient financial safety net. We believe that the child's interests will be better protected if he stays with his father. Anna gritted her teeth. Everything was predictable. Oleg was counting on his material superiority. In addition, the lawyer continued, in marriage Anna showed no interest in herself as a woman, completely immersing herself in motherhood, which created a conflict in the family. We believe that a child should not stay with a mother who is unable to provide him with a healthy environment. Anna felt the blood rush to her face. They really emphasized this, that she was a tired mother. She glanced at Oleg. He was sitting with an expression of complete satisfaction. Quote, Your Honor, Ivan Anatolievich began calmly, rising from his seat. My client Anna Gromova is not only a good mother, but also a woman who has done everything in recent months to provide a decent life for herself and her son. The judge nodded, allowing him to continue. First, she has a stable job. The lawyer laid out the papers on the table. Here's a certificate of income. The employer confirmed that her position is permanent, and her income allows her to provide for the child. The judge studied the documents and nodded. Second, Ms. Gromova received ownership of an apartment provided by the state. The lawyer handed over another document. It is officially assigned to her. Anna looked at Oleg. The confidence on his face faded slightly. Third, the lawyer continued, Ms. Gromova provided the child with a place in a kindergarten. This confirms her responsibility and ability to take care of her son. The judge looked at Oleg. Mr. Gromov, tell me, if the court leaves the child with you, who will look after him while you work? Oleg hesitated. Well, my mother, Your Honor. Anna's lawyer immediately intervened. The child should be with the mother, not with the grandmother. The judge nodded. Anna heard someone in the courtroom whispering. Oleg frowned. Everyone stood up when the judge began to read the decision. The court, having studied the evidence presented, rules that the child be left with the mother, Anna Gromova. Anna felt her knees buckle. She had won. Oleg clenched his fists. His face was red with anger. He flew out of the courtroom like a bullet, without even turning to look at Anya. Soon the doorbell rang in Anya's apartment. She opened the door and saw Galina Viktorovna. Quote, Hello, the mother-in-law said quietly. Anna looked at her in surprise. Quote, Hello. May I come in? Anna nodded and stepped aside. Galina Viktorovna went into the kitchen, sat down at the table and was silent for a while. Quote, I wanted to apologize, she finally said. Anna froze. For what? The mother-in-law sighed. I knew that Oleg was wrong. I heard what he said about you, oh son, but I did nothing. Anna was silent. I loved you like a daughter, Galina Viktorovna continued. But when this war between you began, I was confused. I was afraid that if I took your side, I would lose my son. Quote, And now? Anna asked. Her mother-in-law looked at her with longing, and now I understand that I have already lost him. He became different, cruel. I did not recognize in him the boy I raised. Anna nodded. I do not hold a grudge against you. Galina Viktorovna looked at her with hope. Please, do not take my grandson away from me. Anna smiled. I cannot forbid you to see Pavlusha, especially since you are his only grandmother. I will not interfere with you in anything. But do not even think of turning my son against me or trying to take him away in any way. Her mother-in-law nodded with relief, and Anna saw how her shoulders relaxed. Galina Viktorovna really sincerely repented and corrected herself. In the evenings, she took Pavlusha to her place if Anna was late at work. She gladly took him to her place on weekends. Now she lived alone. Oleg got into huge debts, buying an apartment for himself and Olga. Anna continued to work in the restaurant and got a promotion. Now she is dating a wonderful man, but she no longer builds illusions and castles in the air. She knows for sure that the only person who can make her happy is herself. And a reliable man next to her is just a pleasant addition to her inner peace and harmony. Anna knew that her story was just beginning, and she had many happy days ahead. Thank you for listening to the story. Sorry for the mistakes. Write in the comments what you think. If you liked it, subscribe to the channel.